And so now as you start to swing back, if I push that cap down, did you feel how that kind of levers that club up for you?
And I'm kind of as you did that, I was kind of sequencing it with a little pressure shift and my wind up. So it was like whoosh, and that club head is becoming very light early.
Yeah. Now be real smooth so I can get out of the way. Ready, go.
That was so stinking pure. Hey everyone, so today we're going to be sharing with you this dive move, this simple wrist action that you guys should add in your takeaway. And the top players in the world are doing this move, Milo.
For sure. So welcome back out to Superstition Mountain. Henry, let's talk a little bit about what this move is.
Yeah, so you see it with some of the best players in the world. They're even doing this little drill where they sort of establish the structure they want.
Okay.
And then from there, it's almost just wind up and unwind. So what we see is a lot of great players actually, do this drill and exercise where they have it established. And they basically talk about the golf swing being done, which is kind of crazy to think about. But once they have that structure, again, it just becomes as simple as, wind it up and unwind. And this is a drill we do a lot with students just to get the structure built, right? And then go. So kind of makes the golf swing pretty simple in that understanding. We get our wrist conditions, the arm structure established, right? And then we can just sort of wind up and unwind, let things happen. Yeah. So Milo, there's obviously numerous amounts of matchups we've seen across the golfing landscape, so to speak. What about this first phase?
So I've seen players who almost let their hands go up and forward first.
Yeah.
I've seen players almost drag the handle first. And then everything in the middle. So kind of loading it early, and like Dustin Johnson's hands kind of do this.
And like DJ, it's almost like the club works a little out off that target line. So if this is your ball line or target line, it's like that club is moving
almost
actually
outside
out in front of it.
Uh-huh.
And then conversely, you said some guys where the hands might go out a little bit, the club rolls a little bit under.
Yeah, and then there's the guys who don't hinge it early and almost drag it back inside more.
Yeah.
Like some of the old timers, like
so much more with the wind up.
Yep. The whole spectrum.
But at some stage we're still establishing those wrist conditions, right?
For sure. Everybody, you got to get your wrists loaded at some point. My preference is to get them loaded a little sooner, get it taken care of while things are moving slower, rather than waiting, and then having it load late hard. I'd prefer to see it kind of just be a smooth loading off the ball. Not that that's the one way to do it, because I've seen others who don't.
So more or less seeing like a 90 with the left arm when you get shafts, or at
left arm parallel. Left arm parallel, basically 90.
But we're sort of building that structure as we're going back.
Yeah, it's like smoothly loading to that point.
Yep. So what we talk about a little bit, what I've often said is that it feels like what I call a dive move. So if you think of Michael Phelps or a swimmer diving off those blocks into the pool.
Michael tries to enter the water at the lowest angle possible. The goal is to have the entire body.
They're kind of going into that water smoothly so they can keep that acceleration, that speed they need off the blocks. It's just smooth, right? And they're kind of gliding in there. And I kind of compare that to how the right wrist works. I kind of want to build that structure smoothly and sequence it so that club is then set, the angles are set, and the club's sort of in front of me. So if you're looking for more of just a simple way of doing it, this can really establish that for you. If you find that, maybe moving a little too out or too in is complicating things for you, just a little bit of this feeling can sort of simplify that focus.
Yeah, I really like that feeling. One way that I've done this with players is I'll have them set up and I'll grab onto the cap of the golf club, and as they get started, I'll take the cap and feel like I almost push the cap down.
Okay.
And you can see how that naturally loads that right hand just like that.
Why don't you do that to me? So I'm going to have both hands on.
You can have both hands on or just the right one, it doesn't matter.
Okay.
Go with both. And so now as you start to swing back, if I push that cap down, did you feel how that kind of levers that club up for you.
And I'm kind of as you did that, I was kind of sequencing it with a little pressure shift and my wind up. So it was like whoosh.
Yep.
And that club is becoming, or club head is becoming very light early.
Yes.
Right? So often we see the club get heavy early. Whether it's in or sometimes even out, it's like...
Either direction, if the club gets misaligned from your hands, so this club's heavy, and they both are heavy to get to the top.
Yeah.
Where if you get it moving more into this arc, that club feels like it's taking you to the top.
Right.
It's moving you versus you having to move it.
Yeah. So Milo, let's show them this from face on again. So I'm going to grip down a little bit just so you, the viewer, can see where he's going to be sort of touching the butt of that club. So you're going to...
I'm going to do a little of that.
That really stood it up.
So... Feel that?
Yeah,
you want to hit one?
I could. Yeah, let me get the feeling a couple more times. Because it's sending it almost more up than I'm used to. But again, for somebody that might be in, under... It's
an exaggeration, but it gets the club really stood up, so it's very light.
Right. So you think of like a baseball player, like tipping the bat, that would be kind of the feel, right? Yep. So we're making that mass much lighter earlier, so then when in transition, we can shallow it, and it can almost become a little heavier. You know, a lot of great players have talked about feeling the club head in transition versus so many of you guys get in here and whoosh right out of the top.
And you gotta,
yeah. So these can go together, and again, why the takeaway and the backswing, in our opinion, can still be important, you know?
I think I like to call it setting the dominoes up.
Yeah.
If you get them out of order, it's very hard to knock them all down. But if we get things into the right order, you know, it kind of becomes almost autopilot.
So it becomes more challenging. It's not impossible.
No, there's guys who do everything and do it successfully.
Okay, let's do this a couple more times. So grip down. Whoosh. Okay. One more.
Okay,
right,
now
you gonna be able to move out of the way fast enough?
We're gonna see if I got wheels.
Maybe start on this side of the rod so you don't trip.
You're good. Ready?
Okay, I'm gonna see if I can even hit this
ball.
Just go
smooth so I can be quick enough.
Oh, that really stood it up. Wow. That felt goofy.
That was my golf swing. That's what I do.
Yeah. Let's film that from down the line so they can see that. All right, here we go. Give me two more practice
ones. Rehearsals? Okay, ready?
Okay, I think I got a little bit more sequence now. I almost got to lay off the grip pressure.
Now be real smooth so I can get out of the way. Ready, go.
That was so stinking pure. I mean...
Could you hit it better?
See, if anything, it's more out than my normal takeaway. More stood up. Yeah. Now, the out, the club in front. Let me put a line down for them. So here's our ball line, target line. This is just parallel, you know, we're building our railroad. When I take this club back, with this feel, the club is staying a little in front of my hands. And when we say in front, it's on this side of my hands. So you see that the club is, you know, more or less on the ball line for the first few feet and then working up the arc.
And that's because it's breaking up a little bit more than normal for you.
Yeah.
So it keeps it on the front side of your hands until the club becomes above the club head becomes above your hands. Then it finally gets behind your hands.
Right. So as that's happening, I'm not pushing my hands out to that line. And that's one of the killers we see so often is we see students who try to get this club in front of them, but push their hands and arms sort of out away from them.
So then if you look at that, you can see how much separation you're creating here.
So, you know, we're not ones to always talk about connection, but you better believe you're super disconnected now.
So Henry, we're really not fans of keeping the arms really tied to us, but we're also not fans of having the arms getting away from our body too much and having to create big loops.
That's what we see so often. It's like, especially first-time students of ours that maybe have seen our content online, they see the loop, the circle, right? And they think, they start doing this at the house, at home, right? And then they come see us in person, and they actually are looping the arms. They're not looping the mass of the club.
Yeah.
So that's really a key distinguishment here. We're not encouraging you guys to push those hands and arms out, get it stood up, and then shallow it with the hands and arms. Now you're just making a big old circle for yourself with your hands, and that's super troublesome. So we'd rather the hands actually stay in a little bit, club stands up. Now you're getting that little loop we're talking about. And then if anything, the hands for the best players in the world are tending to move actually out on that plane.
We don't really like them to move back and down.
No, 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 no. So this dive move, we're establishing that structure. So now we get it built, we can just wind up to the top. We have the angles we want at the top. So here you go, dive, top, and then we can just simply go down, around, and unwind out of the way. I just want to hit a couple where we set that. So similar to when you did it for me, I'm going to set it kind of, this is what we call the sort of the Nick Faldo drill, and Nick Faldo was kind of famous for this exercise.
Now what I'm going to do is set my hands here without moving them backwards, right the way to the full set position, set the wrist there, and all we have to do now is just continue turning, just turn those shoulders. So we wind it up, left shoulder under, and look at that. That's the best top of the backswing position you're ever going to be in your life. Absolutely spot on. Now what we will do is hit it from that position. We will set it to there, check everything for a split second, turn, and release.
We might do it a little differently with the wrist angles, and partly because of the way we grip the club, but establishing that sort of parallel with the ground early. So a lot of students we see don't really get their wrists involved correctly until really late, and then they're throwing it out early out of the top.
Yeah. When they don't get their wrists involved, they get their elbows involved.
Yeah.
And they start pulling the golf club back across themselves. So I'd much rather see those wrists loading.
Yeah. So we're establishing that early, and again, that's that dive move. You think about a swimmer going off the blocks into the water, and that's that right wrist extending. The other benefit I've noticed with this is it kind of keeps the right arm a little long early. If we establish this structure, keeps the right arm a little wider. When you don't set the angles with your wrists, we often see the fold.
Yep. I think a lot of times people think of width as just keeping the club head away from themselves, where for me what width really is how far away that blue cap is from me. So if I can keep that, that's actually farther away than that.
Right.
So this is actually more width and more power.
Well, you can still have width with angles and structure. Yes. When width breaks down, it's more the arms folding.
Yeah, so if I did this, that feels like it's really far away from me, but that's not width.
Yeah. What I'm going to do here is sort of preset this hinge. So I'm going to feel that little dive move. You notice my hands aren't really moving much positionally.
No. I'm
pretty much setting the hinge right in front of me. Basically, the grip of this club isn't moving, one way or the other.
Yep.
It's kind of here. Now I'm just going to feel wind up, unwind, and go.
Okay, let's see that.
Let's see if I can do it. Let's just start slow with one. So a little dive move. Okay, pretty good. So you could just start with some slow ones like that. Another feel I like to do is get an alignment, stick up the shaft. Feels a little goofy at first to grip it, but I'll have them kind of ride this shaft down their left thigh to get it set up.
Yep.
Okay, so ride this shaft down the left thigh. You notice, again, hands stay a little in, club a little out. If it comes off either direction, I'm starting to get that sort of disconnect, starting to get out of my bends.
Yep.
So I've lost that structure.
You're adding complexity.
Right. So let's do another little one like this. So I'm going to go dive move to there. It's riding down my thigh, and then up to the top and chip one. Okay, good. I wouldn't hit these very hard, but that's another good exercise to get your takeaway established.
For sure.
And we also have the tour rotation stick can do the same thing. It's just a little nicer that you can kind of connect it to the end of the club, right?
Yeah, a little less difficult to grip with that because it's not running through your finger.
You do have to grip down just a little because it goes on the butt, but same idea. And you can hit balls a little further with this, I've found. But we can get that structure up to the top and chip one. So even a little thin like that, I'm okay with. Let me hit one more. Good. You just make little swings with these drills and you start to establish that structure you're looking for, so then you can hit more of a fuller one. Like we see from a guy like Rory or Justin Thomas or Nick Faldo. Again, these are some great players who have used a similar exercise where they sort of set it and forget it, right?
Yep.
Just set it and go. Not bad. A little left, but pretty good.
Okay, so if you're a player who struggles with arms getting disconnected, arms moving in the wrong way, club getting way out of whack, this dive move feel, the feeling of the handle kind of loading down as the wrists kind of stand the club up, can be a very good feeling to just get things lined up and simplify the action for you. You can start with the Faldo drill where you're preloading it, and then you can learn. I actually like to grab it with just my right hand and put my fingers on the grip of the club, and I feel like as I start the club away, I push that down, and then that gives me the feeling of the nice little dive move that you've described to everybody. So this move can be very good for simplifying wrist action, arm action, and just getting things tied together a little bit better.
Hey guys, thanks for watching, really appreciate it. Make sure you like and subscribe if you're new to this channel, and leave a comment below. We really appreciate your feedback, and it helps us with making more future videos. And come over to MiloLinesGolf.com where we can help you learn to swing like an athlete, and we have some more of these exercises on our site.
Awesome.
And personalized coaching, so we'll see you there.